Hey everybody, this is going to be a video over triangles, and we're going to be talking about angles just like we have been with the transversals lately. So I'm going to try to make this quick and sweet. But as you can see, we've got 6 examples. They're all a little bit different, but all slightly the same at the same time. So the first thing we want to talk about is the fact that a triangle always adds up to 180 degrees. No matter how many times you do it, every single triangle should, if it's done correctly, add up to 180 degrees. So if you're ever looking to check something, that's always a way you can do it. So for instance, we're going to have an 80 degrees here, plus 70 degrees, plus 30 degrees. Give me 0, 8 and 7 is 15, plus 3 is 18, 180 degrees. And the theory behind this, I know you talked about it in 6th grade, is that if you were to take this angle, this angle, this angle, rip them apart, and put them next to each other, it's going to form a perfectly straight line. And as we learned last week, a straight line is always 180 degrees. Okay, so here's another example. And the way that we would solve it if we were missing an angle is you would take the two angles that you have, and then you would subtract their sum by 180. So we're going to take 68 plus 47 plus x, and we're going to set that equal to 180 degrees. 68, 47, and x equals 180. Okay, and then we're going to combine these together, so we're going to have 68 plus 47. That's going to give me 15, carry my 1, it's 115. So we're going to have 115 plus x equals 180. Subtract 115 from both sides. We're going to find that x is equal to something. Just do a little more mental math up here. Yes, I realize this isn't mental math. I am aware. So x is going to equal 65. Okay, and if we wanted to check that, 65 plus 115, it's going to give us 20. Yep, 180. So that's how you can always find if you're just adding them up together. All right, so this one is a little bit more 8th grade material, but I'm going to go ahead and lump it into this video just to show you. So right now we've got a 40 degrees, a 90 degrees, and then an x over here. And there's actually 2 ways to solve this. We're going to talk about one, and then we'll kind of figure out the rest as we go. So I'm going to take these. I'm going to have 90 plus 40 plus x is equal to 180. Now I want you to notice something though. This x right here is on the outside of the triangle. I'll come back to that, but just be aware of that the x I'm talking about up here is different than this one. I probably should have used a different variable, but since I've already done it, I don't want to confuse you anymore. So just be aware that this x is referring to right in this area, and we'll talk about that x in a second. So 90 plus 40 is going to give us 130 plus x equals 180. Okay, and so if I subtract 130 from both sides, we're going to find that x is equal to 50. So once again, let me re-clarify. This x, we're going to change that just for simplicity. I'm going to make this a question mark now. I just solved for the question mark in here because I know that all triangles equal 180 degrees. But I also mentioned to you that every straight line equals 180. So that means that if this angle right here is 50 degrees, then I now have to figure out what's the difference between 180 and 50 to solve for x here. So 180 minus 50 is going to give me 130, which means that this x, the real x, not the x I solved for to confuse you all, is going to be 130. Because 130 plus 50 equals 180, and 180 is how we equal every single straight line. Okay, so this one's going to tie in a lot with what you guys learned last week, and we're going to be talking about vertical angles here in just a second. First of all, though, we know that every single triangle adds up to be 180 degrees. So we're going to have 30 plus x. Now let's try a different letter. Let's say plus b. Plus b equals 180 degrees. Okay? 30 plus 30 is 60. Plus b equals 180. Minus 60. Minus 60, b is going to equal 120 degrees. Okay, and so because this b equals 120, that also means that this x equals 120, and that is based off of the vertical angles theory that you learned about last week. Remember, vertical angles are the ones that form the v's like this together. Okay, so these two would be vertical, and then if we had 2 more angles, then these 2 would be vertical as well right here. All right, last 2, y'all. Thanks for being patient. Okay, So this one right here, this one's a little bit funky. I like this one a lot though. I'm gonna walk you through it. This is definitely a pre-AP question. One that's probably gonna stress you out a little bit, but once you see it all, it's all the same ideas that I've just spent the last 5 minutes talking to you about. So once again, we know that all triangles add up to 180 degrees. So that means that this 75 plus A plus B has to be 180 degrees. Now we can't just do that for the simple fact that we cannot solve for two separate variables in the same equation. But I do know that every single straight line has to add up to be 180 degrees. So this plus this plus this is going to be 180 degrees. Again, it's a straight line. You can take a ruler, take my pencil, whatever you want, put it right there. It's a straight line, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take 45 plus 50, 45 and 50 plus B, and I'm gonna set that equal to 180 degrees. Well, 45 and 50 is gonna give me 95 plus B equals 180. Subtract 95 from both sides. We're going to find that B is equal to, let's do a little scratch math over here. $85. So B is going to be equal to 85. Okay. So now that I know that B is equal to 85, and we can prove it because this plus this plus this equals 180, and now I've got two of my angles figured out in this triangle, I can do 85 plus 75 plus A equals 180. 85 plus 75. It's going to give me 160 plus A equals 180 minus 160. A equals 20. Now, let's just check our math out here. We know that all triangles have to add up to be 180 degrees. So if I take my 85 plus my 75 plus my 20, it's going to be 85 plus 95, and that's going to add up to be 180, just to prove it. There you go. So what we can do, and I'm going to try to zoom this out so you can get a clear picture of all of this real quick. There we go, much better. As you can now see that we use different pieces to help us formulate the rest of it, okay? So it's not a hard concept if you understand that a straight line as well as all triangles have to be 180 degrees. Okay, and then this last example that I've got for you here. This kind of is a combination of two of the questions I've looked at so far. But essentially, all three of these angles are going to end up being 180 degrees. So angle C plus angle B plus angle A would all add up to be 180 degrees. And so if I wanted to look at this problem and I had a value for these, I could add them all three up. And what that would tell me is that whatever this piece is, so let's just say that this piece was 50, and that would mean that this opposing sides has to be 130 because these also form a straight line. Or in theory, these two pieces right here add up to be this outside piece over here. Because if this is 130 plus this is 180, 130 plus this has to also equal 180. I know it's not the best description to describe that. I'm sorry, I think it would be better if I had numbers on there, but since I don't, I'm not going to overtalk it. We'll make sure to go over an example of this in class with you. But just understand that everything we're trying to add up between triangles as well as straight lines have to be 180. And that the outside exterior or the exterior angle here plus this interior angle is always going to equal 180 as well. Hope this was helpful. Have a wonderful, wonderful night. We'll see you tomorrow.